Good morning, friends. This is in continuation of the models, the use of models. Friends, models or model auxiliaries are frequently used in day-to-day spoken and written English. Today we are going to discuss about some of the models such as, models for advice, duty, obligation, should and ought to. Both are simultaneously used for advice, duty, and obligation. But most often we use ought to for moral obligation, and for simple advice and suggestion we use should, such as you should not raise your voice. This is a suggestion, it is a piece of advice. You ought not to raise your voice. This is also correct. You should not raise your voice, you ought not to raise your voice. Both are correct. So should and ought to can be used in ordinary sense for advice and suggestion, but generally ought to is used for moral obligation. For example, we ought to defend our country, we ought to, help our neighbors, we ought to educate the poor. In this similar manner, ought not is also used this in negative sense of moral obligation. Like you can say that we ought not hurt the feelings of others. uh, and in question also, like how much money should I carry, how much money I ought to carry, or yes, how much money I ought to carry. Now, while performing conversation and while discussing about any topic, we can use should plus have plus past participle. That is, just to indicate that something should have been done in the past to avoid the loss or to avoid the circumstances. So generally we use yes, should or ought to plus have plus past participle. The structure is subject plus should oblique ought to plus have plus v3 past participle. For instance, you can say I wonder where she has been detained. She should have been here by this time. Or I wonder where Mr. Narayanan has been. He should have been here by this time as the meeting is about to start. The government should have taken in the entire people into confidence before implementing this law. If the government has passed a law, then before passing or implementing the law, it is important for the government to, take the people into confidence. So you can say the government ought to take the entire public into confidence, or the government ought to take the entire parties into confidence before implementing the legislation. In the similar manner, you ought not hide the facts from your parents. You must tell it, truly, without hiding the facts. In the similar manner, uh, ours ours was a better team. We should have won the match easily, but we made several unforced errors. You know, you are absent minded. You should have made a note of the appointment in your diary. The management should have taken strict action against the rumor mongers. So, in day to day conversation, we can use should and ought to while giving suggestion and while extending advice, or just to avoid the circumstances or the mistake that in past we should have committed. In this similar manner, must expresses compulsion both in affirmative sense as well as in negative sense. So in negative sense we write must not, and in affirmative sense we write must. For instance, we can say you are still weak, you must not exert yourself. You are still weak, you must not exert yourself. In the similar manner, you must not get down before the train comes to the platform. We have plenty of time to complete the work. We must not rush through the preparation. You must not ring up to Mr. Khanna, as I have already informed him. We must talk we must not talk near the patient's bed. We must avoid talking near the patient bed. So must also expresses compulsion both in affirmative sense as well as in negative sense. So let us summarize the models such as should and ought to are often used in giving and extending suggestions and advice, but ought to is generally used for moral obligation, like we ought to defend our countries. And should is used in the general sense for giving advice. The teacher said to the student, you should work hard to score better marks. And in negative sense, ought not is used to, avoid any kind of moral duty, or avoid any kind of mistake in moral duty or obligation. For example, we must not hurt the feeling of others can be written, we ought not hurt the feeling of others. We should not hurt the feeling of others. In the other sense, while you are making an introspection of your past action, you can use should or oblique ought to plus have plus past participle, like I'm sorry, I should have informed you well in time. As I didn't inform you in time, so I'm regretting and I'm making an introspection of my action, and I'm saying, I'm sorry, I should have informed you well in time. Tomorrow's match is of crucial importance. The team should have gone out for practice for a long time. Tomorrow's match is of crucial importance. The team should have gone for a practice for long hours. In this similar manner, Sujata has lost her credit card. She should have kept it carefully in her purse. I cannot find this information in any book. I should have searched it in some other way or on internet. The road passing through the city is always crowded. We should not have driven recklessly on this road. And that is what I wanted to summarize. Thank you. Have a nice day.